Welcome back. Now let's move over to financial plan. Now the only way for you to get this right is to ensure that you've done the operational plan class. Otherwise you may need to go back and take the operational plan class. Now for the financial plan, we have a table called required startup capital estimates. Then we have another table for the loan repayment schedule. Let's begin by first discussing the required startup capital estimate. This pound symbol is appearing because this cell is not large enough, so let's adjust this. Okay, good. Now, how did we arrive at this? Pre-operating expenses. Good. I just clicked in the cell, and looking up here, the system is telling me that this value came from another sheet called operational plan, and this value is being pulled from a cell addressed as L20. So let's go locate this particular sheet and this cell L20. So let's go back. Operational plan. This is columns L and this is 20. How did we arrive at this? This one came from everything we have here, the summation of the amount we have here, which came from our rent, our equipment, renovation, advertising, business registration. That's this. So this is our pre-operating activities and expenses. So the value was pulled from this place down to this very cell. I hope it makes sense. Now for the opening stock, this value also came from the operational plan sheet and it's coming from a particular cell addressed by N11. So let's come back. N11, this is columns N, this is row 11, so N11, and this value is actually coming from our opening stock. This is what we have as our opening stock. Good. So let's come back. Financial plan. So we now know where we got this value from and this value. What about this value? The initial operating expenses for the first 2 months. Can you see that? So this value also came from the operational plan sheet and is coming from a cell identified by Q11. So let's go back. Q11, where are you? This is Q, this is 11, Q11, and Q11, we got Q11 by, let me expand this cell. The value we have here came from the sum of this cell down to this very cell for the first 2 months. That's the month we're starting our operation. I hope that makes sense. So coming back here, the next thing we have here is what is referred to, sorry. Let's come back. The next value we have here is what we refer to as total startup capital estimated. Where did this one come from? If you look up, you have B3 column B5. That means it is the summation of what we have here, what we have here, and what we have here. In other words, the operating expenses for the first 2 months, the opening stock, and the pre-operating expenses gave us the total startup capital. That's based on our estimation. Now, the next thing we need to look at, sources of fund, personal and bank. Good thing I was able to make my projection. Do I have this kind of money? How much do I have? How much do I need to borrow? So let's say of this, I can only afford, or I can only provide, or I can only make available 20%. That is what you're seeing here. This comment column is just giving an explanation. This tells that this is 20% of the value we have here. So this, how did we arrive at this value? This value came from multiplying what you have here. This is my B6 cell, multiplying it by 20%. So when you multiply this cell by 20%, what it's going to do for you is to take 20% off the value you have here and return back to you here. That means that you need to tell us how you want to get the rest of the money. In this case, the assumption is that we're going to get a loan from the bank. So if you're producing 20%, it means that the bank will help you with 80%. So if I click in this cell and you look up, can you see that? To get this is just the difference between the total startup capital and your personal fund. That's what gave us this, which is equivalent to 80%. So when you add a personal fund to your bank loan, it's going to tell you the total fund sourced. I hope that makes sense. Another thing I must mention here, if, for instance, you are the one providing 100% of the fund, it means you're not taking any loan. We can come here and alter this to tell we are providing 100%. Now watch, something will happen immediately I press the enter button. Look at this. If I press enter, can you see that it tells that I'm taking a zero loan from the bank, and that means I have nothing to pay. There's no repayment schedule. But that means what I need to do in the comment box is to just update this, type 100%, type 0, and that will be it. But let's go back. Let's assume that what I can actually make available is a 40%. So what I do there, I go specify 40%, press my enter key, the system updates it, and you see I can come to this box now and update this 40, come over here and make this 60. Fine. I hope this makes sense. In the next video, we will formally complete the financial plan by interpreting the cells we have here. I hope this is informative. Thank you.